Hi guys, it's time for us to do some work in our school portable garden. So today we're going to be doing two things. I have already removed the cool weather plants that we had planted in school when we were planting for early spring garden in the school garden. Mostly it was just the brassicas that I removed, the cabbages, also the broccolis and some other things. So I removed some things from the planters that are on my back porch back here, and that leaves us with some open spaces. So we're going to have to plant some new things. The things that we are going to plant are chives. We have some parsley seeds. We have thyme. We have basil. And then I'd also like to experiment and plant 1 or 2 stevia plants. Stevia is a kind of sweetener that is used, you can buy it in the stores as a sugar substitute. Supposedly you can use the leaves on the stevia plant to sweeten things, and I just think it would be a cool experiment. So I'm going to be trying that. But before I do that, if you guys remember, we had a really big problem with our garden at school in that I didn't know what the plants were, because we had used a marker on wooden popsicle sticks, and then whenever it would rain, when I put them outside when they closed schools, all of the names got washed off of the popsicle sticks. So for these containers that I have back here, I went to the Dollar Tree and I just bought some white plastic spoons, forks, and knives. I'm going to start with the knives, and then I'll use the other things if I need to. And I bought a permanent marker, and I'm going to write what we have currently in the different areas of the planters on these knives so I can keep up with those. And then as I plant these new herbs, I'm going to also write those on there. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, and then I'll bring you back when we're ready. All right, so first we're going to talk about the stevia plant. It says here it takes 7 to 21 days for the seed, the sprout to emerge. It says to barely cover it for the seed depth. It says the seed spacing should be 18 inches. Row spacing should be 20 to 24 inches. No thinning required. It had a inside packet that had seeds in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plant 2 seeds in one of the planter sections. And then whichever one sprouts and looks the strongest as they start to grow, I will either take the second one and put it in a separate pot, or I will just pull it out and just let the one plant grow. If they grow up in single stalks like this, then I may leave both of them in there and just have 2 plants in one container. This is what the seeds look like. I'm going to try to open it up and put out a seed so that you can see. Well, let me see if I can find a seed in here. There we go. It just kind of looks like a little bit of a stick. I don't want to lose it, but it is right there on my finger. Oh, may have lost it. Here it is. It's right here on my fingertip. It is that big. So that is what I'm going to be planting into the ground now. So next we're going to start with the parsley. It came in an undescript envelope. I have no idea how old these seeds are. I don't know how well they're going to grow. I have no other information on them, so I'm going to have to Google that. We're going to see what we come up with. They are very, very small seeds. Let me get some to stick to my finger. They are very small seeds. They look like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant some of those in just one of the little containers that is over here, and I'm going to label it parsley. I will look it up to see how long it's going to take to sprout. On the backs, on one side of the knife that I'm going to use as a marker, I'm putting what we're planting. On the other side, I'm going to put today's date, which is May 26th. But I'm also going to put days, how long it takes for them to emerge, so I can at least check to see if things are sprouting. I'll come back to you with the next one. All right, next on our list of things to plant is thyme. I like the little flowers at the top of the thyme. It looks like a very beautiful plant. It says that it takes 10 to 15 days for the thyme plants to emerge. It says to plant them 1/8 of an inch deep. Again, don't really cover them with soil. You can just sprinkle these. A group of 5 seeds every 10 inches, and row spacing should be 12 inches. Said once the plants are 1 inch tall, thin to 1 plant every 10 inches. So what I'm probably going to do is put about 3 seeds in one of those containers and spread those seeds out, and we'll see which ones grow best. What it says out here is that it's an invaluable seasoning in the kitchen. Thyme has a subtle woodsy flavor that complements a variety of foods. A staple herb of chefs and one of the primary ingredients of bouquet garni. I don't know what that is. With very small leaves and delicate edible flowers, thyme makes a lovely drought-tolerant 12-inch tall landscape plant. Use as a low hedge around your herb or garden vegetables. An excellent container plant, yay, because we're going to plant it in a container. And it also says it's perennial, which means it should come back year after year, but we would replant our planters. But if you wanted to plant these in your yard, that would be a good way to do it. So I'm going to open this up so we can see what these seeds look like. And then I'll save the rest of the seeds. I'm hoping to go into the garden. Ooh, there's a lot of them and they're very small. I'm hoping to go, ooh. When I said plant 3 seeds, I don't know how realistic that's gonna be. All right, so this is what I got out of here. I'm gonna wet my fingers so that they'll stick to my finger. You can see how small those are. There's about 6 seeds right there. I'm going to go put them in the container pot now and label it, and then I'll come right back. All right, the next thing that we're going to plant in a container is our basil seeds. It says it takes 5 to 10 days for them to emerge. They have a seed depth of 1/4 inch, so you do want to cover them up a little bit. Don't just sprinkle them on top. A group of 2 seeds every 12 inches. Row spacing is 12 inches, and then when they're 2 inches tall, you thin them to just 1 plant per 12 inches. So what I'll probably do is plant 3 or 4 of these seeds in one of the little areas of the container pot. And then once they get taller, I will pick the strongest of the plants, and that will be my basil plant that I leave growing. I'll either repot the other ones somewhere else, or I will just clip them so that I've thinned it out. Said there's nothing like the aroma of basil in the summer. It has a traditional fragrance and flavor, making it excellent for almost any basil dish, especially pesto. One of the most useful herbs, it has a beautiful edible flowers. In a warm, sunny window, basil can grow indoors in the winter. A good container variety. There's also a pesto recipe inside this packet, which I may need to use. So I'm going to go ahead and plant these. I've already made my marker for basil and put that it takes 5 to 10 days for them to sprout, and that we planted them on 5/26, and then I'll come right back. I forgot to show you what the basil seeds look like. I'm going to wet my finger so they'll stick to my finger. I have 4 seeds on my finger. They're about this big. They're not very big at all. I'll spread them out in the container, and then we'll see how they grow. All right, our last herb that we're going to plant is chives. It also says garlic underneath it. It says it takes 10 to 15 days for them to emerge. Sow them at a depth of about 1/4 of an inch, so you do want to cover them up with a little bit of soil. Not deep though. A group of 6 seeds every 8 inches. Row spacing should be 8 inches apart or as desired. No thinning required. So what I'm probably going to do is just sprinkle about 6 to 8 seeds in each section. I'm actually going to plant these in 3 different sections around a pot. They grow up nice and straight like this, and they have these beautiful little white flowers and stuff on them, so I think they're going to look really cute in the pot. It says garlic chives are a versatile herb used widely in Asian cooking. When young, leaves and flower buds have a delicate aroma and a garlic flavor with hints of honey and onion. Add to stir fries, scrambled eggs, soups, and noodles, and sprinkle on meats and fish. The plant comes back every year, so it's a perennial, and is very attractive, drought tolerant, good for containers, and indoor growing for fresh herbs all winter long. Edible flowers are loved by bees. Now, there won't be any bees on my back porch because my back porch is screened in. But when I do go by the school to try to plant some of the garden beds at the school during the summer, I will definitely be planting an herb garden, and there will be some chives there, and that will help with our pollinators as well. So I'm going to go plant these, and then I'm going to come back and give you a tour of how everything looks, as well as how all of the other containers in my yard look as far as garden growing. I forgot to show you how big the chive seeds are, so let me show you. So here we go. I have 3 on my finger right here. They're pretty sizable seeds. I'll probably put, like I said, 6 or 8 in each section. I'm going to do all 3 sections. So I'm going to pour out quite a bit of seeds here and sprinkle those around and then label those. And then I'll show you everything that I've done. I am done planting everything and labeling. Now I've divided our planters up. It's the same number of planters. I just put them in 2 layers high instead of the 3 that were 4 layers high. This one has strawberries in the top. I ordered some live plants. You can see they're doing well. When they come in this big bunch, and they look kind of sad. They're just roots. There's no green, but you can see the strawberries there. There's 3 on top. I planted parsley in this container, basil in that container, thyme over here in this side. We have marigolds still growing right here. We have 2 strawberry plants right here. This is one of the pepper plants that you guys planted, KN1. It's still growing pretty well, kind of slow, but we've had weird weather. I still don't know what this one is, so I'm going to let it grow. I have another one just like it over there. It has kind of soft, fuzzy leaves to it, but I have no idea what it is. But it hasn't really grown very fast. It hasn't grown very tall, but it's also not dying, so we'll just let it do its thing. Back here is another pepper plant. Don't mind the holes in them. That's where my cat bites the leaves. I've been trying to keep the cat out of it. I have strawberries planted on top here. This plant's doing really well. That one, this one has no green to it. We'll see if it grows. And then the 3 containers over here, there's one there, there's one there. Those are all where I planted the chives just now. Up here we have pepper plants. Again, they're not growing very tall, but I think that might be because they were on the sides and the pots were too stacked too much. So they didn't really get a chance to get a lot of sunlight. So I'm hoping that that's gonna improve. I have marigolds here and marigolds here. Right here, I have a really good pepper plant growing right here. It's doing really well. I planted stevia seed back there. I don't have anything in this one. This one's still empty. There's that other fuzzy leaf thing. And this one over here is still empty, so I'll probably come back and plant some more herbs in those later. I don't have any planted in the bottoms on this at all. But this one right here has the tomato plants that y'all grew, and I just want you to see how tall it gets. How tall, how tall, how tall, how tall, how tall. It's all the way up here. Now, it is as tall as I am. Maybe even a little bit taller. It's doing really well. So I'm just kind of letting it grow and see what happens there. I may have to hook something up to the ceiling that I can tie down so that it can keep growing up here. Those are the containers, though, that are on the patio back here. I still have our grow lights attached up here. I'm going to be setting them to be on for 3 hours in the morning. And then this window actually gets all of the afternoon sun all the way to the evening, because my neighbors don't have any trees in their backyard. So they get quite a lot of direct sun from that time. All right, down here, my container plants that I put out, I grew these things from seeds. Right here, you can see carrots, and some of them have done really well and some have not. I'm just letting them grow. This pot and this pot, one has a yellow squash plant, one has a zucchini, a green squash plant. I don't know which is which. I just know one is one and one is the other. This one has cucumber in it and some radishes. These are only radishes. I also planted tomato seeds in the center, but they never took off. So I'm just going to let those grow the way they are. This plant, and this plant, those are all pole beans. One will be white, one will be green, one will be yellow, one will be purple. What I like here is you can already see there's some little pods starting right here. I don't know how well you can see them, but I already have little pods starting on this one. This one's getting ready to produce some pods. It's kind of hard to see. This one hasn't yet. Oops, I got the net caught. This one hasn't started producing pods yet, but we'll see. This was green onions, but they did not grow. I think this pot does not have good drainage. I'm going to have to drill some more holes in it, and we're going to have to try something again. I've started putting the beans and wrapping them along the white netting in the back. That's going to be their trellis to grow on. I still got to wait for these squash to get a little bit taller, but they will grow up on this trellis. They will be long plants. All right, the garden out on the side of my house, this right here is going to be small round zucchini. It was planted from seed. It's doing fabulous. I'm really happy about it. There are 2 separate plants in there. They're both growing really, really well. They are bush plants. They do not need a trellis to grow up. These 2 containers right here have leaf lettuce in them, and they look like they are doing phenomenally well. I still got maybe a week before I can come out and start picking some of the leaf lettuce on them. This rectangular container right here, it had bell pepper seeds in it. I saw right here and right here, I saw evidence that these had been dug through, maybe by birds or by a small animal that managed to slip under the net. So what I'm going to do this week is I'm going to go to Home Depot or Pike's Nursery, and I'm going to actually buy 3 established bell pepper plants to put in here. That one back there, it has beets in it. So I planted 2 seeds in each spot. I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick the strongest of each plant, and that'll be the plant that I allow to continue to grow there. This container right here has big steak tomatoes. So they're going to make really big tomatoes, not little cherry tomatoes, but huge tomatoes. And I planted 1 seed in each corner, and you see I have 1 plant in each corner. All 4 of those will be able to grow within this container because the container is big enough to house the 4 plants. They're called determinate plants, which means they should not vine, they should bush. I might still have to put something in there to help support the weight of the plants, but they should do fine on their own. This one right here, I had planted some cabbages in. Now, cabbages really are a cool weather crop. I don't know if they're going to grow once it really starts getting warm. We've been lucky so far that it's been cool. Most of the days we've had some cool days and evenings. There's bok choy right here. There's broccolini right here. And there's cabbage right here, like Napa cabbage. So we're just going to, it's an experiment. We're going to see how it works out. I'm going to thin these out a little bit while I'm out here, those beets and maybe these cabbages right here. So there's only 1 plant in each area. And then we'll let them go. And I will give you guys an update again in about a week.